Hello everybody, my name is Erik Kessels. I work for a company called KesselsKramer in Amsterdam and in London. It's a communication agency. And today I like to kind of promote the fact that by making no sense often makes quite a lot of sense, and how to create things out of this. But maybe first of all it's quite good to introduce myself a little bit, and also how the beginning of my career made no sense. This is a picture that went back to the 90s in London. I worked with my partner in an agency in London, and the atmosphere in the agency was not very good. So we both decided that one day just to rent both an equal chicken suit, and came to work in this chicken suit. Half of the people really liked it, and the other half were not amused. Which turned out also to be true, because 2 weeks later we got fired, and that was it. But at least this kind of nonsense led us also to a bit sense, so that the fact a few months later we started our own agency in Amsterdam. And it's me on the left, by the way, if you don't recognize me anymore. But this was in 1996. I think also, this is our company logo. It's quite difficult, when you are a designer yourself, that you make your own, that you have to make your own logo. But luckily there was this metal store around the corner, and they had this beautiful horseshoe with a horse in between. We put our name on it, and up till today that's still on our door, and it's still our logo. So another thing in our career which didn't make sense at all was that we bought a church to be our office. How stupid can you be? But in Amsterdam, not a lot of people go to churches anymore. So there were a lot of abandoned churches, and it has a lot of advantages to work in. It's one big open space, and also you can tell your parents that you go to church every day, which helps a lot. We worked there already since 1998, and it's a very good space and a blessed space to work in. This is our office in London, where a lot of things are upside down, so it's quite difficult to work there. But I think, first of all, again, coming back to making no sense, and if we really have to make sense with everything. Society really tells us to make sense with everything, but if you look back also at revolutionary innovations or designs or ideas, often they made no sense at the beginning. So maybe I'll show you just some of my work from the beginning that we did. We worked for many years for diesel. This is, for instance, an ad where we kind of, because young people want to stay younger and younger constantly, so we just promoted them, and we just helped them a little bit and giving them tips how to stay longer young. In this case by, for instance, drinking urine. So that really helps. And another very classical ad is for Vitra, company, furniture company. So it says like the Eames aluminium chair guaranteed to stay in the family. So that's... And then another thing which I still quite like is we had to do a promotion around the Berlin Marathon for Nike. And instead of using really like the most popular athletes from that marathon, we thought, wait a minute, maybe we have a look at the starting list and look at the one who's really the oldest one. So there was this one runner, he was called Heinrich Blümchen, and he was 78 years old, and he was still running the marathon. And we made him really like the hero of this marathon for 3 years. And we focused totally on him. And luckily he was also running on Nike shoes. But the bad thing was that there was so much attention to him that in the end he always came in 20 minutes late, because he got stopped by radio and television interviews. And yeah, next up is a film I like to show that we made for a radio station. If you work in advertising, a lot of things are very stereotypical. To be honest, I really hate advertising. I work already 25 years in it, but I think a lot of people here in the audience really hate it. But for me, it's really a good motivation to make something really different and to go into a different way. So this is for a radio station, was during the World Cup of soccer. Yeah, the animal rights organization was not very happy with this film because they really demanded us that we really had to make another film to show that the dog was still alive. I mean, how stupid can you be? But okay, for us it was very nice because we thought, okay, then we are really going to do this. We're going to make a new film. So the next event for the radio station was the Tour de France. So we thought like, okay, make a film, bring the dog back. Maybe we even bring the owner back. So that was the next film. Yeah, that was the end of it. We never heard back from them anymore. It was just like over. And okay, yeah, this is for also between sense and no sense. This is for a hotel we work for called Citizen M. They have many different hotels, but here we did this action of, you know, we had a guy walking up and down the Hilton Hotel with his trolley, and it says like Citizen M says a 24-hour bar and free Wi-Fi beats a guy in a silly hat carrying your bags. And the next is a film also for this Citizen M, which is a typical new kind of hotel, but it wants to finish with all the hotel cliches, so this is for that. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Another thing, I cross over with a lot of disciplines, and I think as a creative, it's also sometimes quite good that you do things in other disciplines. This was like a festival that I organized with a friend of mine, where they were, it was in a big space. There were 7 attractions, but maybe quite nice to show. There was one attraction called Jump Trump, so visitors had to climb up on some stairs, and then there was a huge 8 by 8 meter cushion where visitors could really jump in and just trash his face and constantly abuse his face. And that was quite nice because about 20,000 people jumped on the cushion in 3 days' time. So that was quite good. Yeah, I think this one is also about, I think, confusion. Often you know, society tells us to not confuse and to make sense of everything. But I mean, you can measure it yourself if you look at a day. I mean, do you remember all the people wearing black or wearing suits, or do you remember just, for instance, a guy sitting in a chicken suit in the train reading like a vegetarian cookbook, for instance? I mean, what do you still remember from that day? What confuses you? And that is also quite good, I think. Confusion is good, especially in creativity. Maybe not in all the jobs you can have, but in creativity it definitely is. This is for a German museum where we also use this kind of confusion. Yeah, there's identity that we made for it, which constantly changes. But also in the museum, people constantly wear different sweaters, the people that work there. So the director of the museum has the sweater of the security of the shop manager of the curator. And also we have a lot of signage in the museum that really confuses people. So this is a bench where you can sit on, and it says Vater, Mutter, Kind, Tierfreund. So father, mother, child, animal friend. Also there's a sign saying corner. You know, it's quite nice in the museum that you know that there's at least a corner. You know, so then you point in the corner. This is the locker area. It says minibar, schlechte Laune, so you can lock up your bad mood. There's the wardrobe, which says like bitte keine Hosen, please no trousers, you need to keep them on. This is at the entrance, it's for the umbrellas and the donations. There's the alarm system which constantly flickers, and then this is obvious one. You can't bring your toasters to a museum. This is the highest point in the museum, and here's the toilet. So, I mean, that just shows how we constantly refresh people when they come there. These are not permanent signs, but they constantly change. Another job we did more for this school. It's like a huge campus. But one small job was quite nice because in the campus they had like a lot of trouble with garbage that was on the floor. So students didn't really want to throw the garbage in the garbage bin. So on these garbage bins that we made, kind of installations out, it says like throwing away garbage in the garbage bin. How difficult can that be? And then we made it very difficult, you know. So sometimes when there's a problem, you really need to enhance the problem. You make it even more problematic. So that works, you know, like, because a lot of students, you know, they lift it up and they just, with 3 people you have to lift it and then you throw something in. And yeah, it goes on and on, you know, it's, but it works very well. I mean, the students make a lot of films with it, they post it online, it's like a running gag in the school. Yeah, then here, this is maybe a controversial one. I think brainstorms are totally overrated. I mean, often there's a lot of people in a room and everybody has his own subjective opinion. In the end, you have a huge collection and a storm of opinions. But in a way, there's not really something, focus comes from that. And next is maybe a nice example. We were invited to come up with the theme for the city of Amsterdam, and there were 5 design agencies invited for this. But then in the end, we got a briefing. But on the way back to our office, which took 5 minutes, so no brainstorm, we already had this idea of I Amsterdam, which is quite quick. We thought like, okay, maybe it's already existing. So we checked it in the office and checked it in the register or brand registers if this was already existing, but which was not the case. So on the day that we got the briefing, we had this idea, but we also registered it and it was ours. So 2 weeks later, we did a presentation, and after the presentation, it was deadly silent. I mean, there was nobody reacting, so I thought it's very strange. So I asked a woman next to me, like saying, is there anything wrong? And then the woman said, it's very embarrassing, but the people that just presented before you had exactly the same idea. So it turned out that from the 5 agencies, 3 of them had exactly the same idea. And so we told them, yeah, that can be true, because we had this idea also already very quick. And by the way, it's ours. So they were not very happy with that, but in the end they had to go with us, and they had to go with this theme. And they did that for many years and quite successful, because look at the theme, look at the sign here. And so this was made, but nowadays, I collect a lot of copies that are made. So you have like Wow Moscow, you have Only Lyon, almost done with the same typography, the same kind of white and red letters. And recently I even found We Are Ramallah. So that's quite strange. Yeah, then a section which is quite nice, I think, that you know, companies and in advertising, everybody wants to be the best, you know, like everybody wants to have success. And we worked for, our first client was this budget hotel in the center of Amsterdam. It had 500 beds, and I went there, really our first client, so I had high hopes. But then I went there and it was a total shithole, the hotel. I mean, the owner asked me, like, maybe can you do something for us, because I have so many complaints, we're getting sick of it. So in the end, I mean, what can you do for this hotel? I mean, almost everything you do is kind of a lie. So we had this idea that maybe honesty could be their only luxury that they have. So from that moment on, we started to really be honest with the communication that we did for them. So we said, now a bed in every room. Now even more rooms without a window, which was true. There's now even more dog shit in the main entrance, which is quite normal in Amsterdam. And also in the hotel itself, when you check in, you find this A3 cardboard card on your bed. And if you have a scissors on you, you can cut all these things out of it. And you can really pimp your room, you know, like it can looks very good. So this was working very well. Another year we did a very expensive looking campaign. So I kind of borrowed this 5-star hotel image. We put a lot of stars on there. And then in the bottom here it says like not included. So really there's nothing in this image which you find in the Hans Brinker budget hotel. It's true. Thank you. Yeah, then also sometimes we thought like we can't make it any worse than we already did, but then we used that for another campaign. So Hans Brinker Budget Hotel, it can't get any worse, but we'll do our best. You know, so these are little, yeah, really little small innovations, because the image on the right just looks a little bit better than the image on the left, let's be honest. Another time there was so many boutique and design hotels around the hotel, but we thought like, okay, we also have unique design. Yes, and then working 15 years for them, for the first time we found that the hotel had something very positive to offer, because we found out that the hotel was accidentally eco-friendly. Because there was an eco shower, an eco towel in the room, there was an eco elevator in the hotel, an eco shower, you know, like, and sometimes these ideas you just find them on the street, because I was very pissed off for many years. Only the L was burning of their hotel sign, huge hotel sign, but only the L was burning. And so here it has also this eco fact saying our hotel sign only uses 20% of the energy of normal hotel signs. So yeah, then I would like to move. I mean, by the way, the hotel, we started when they had 60,000 overnights, but now they have more than 160,000 overnights. They haven't changed anything. I mean, they still have a lot of complaints, but people now complain a lot because they have been to the hotel and they think it's not bad enough, because it's really like a cult destination. Yeah, then I want to move also a bit into perfection. I mean, nowadays we have computers and 3D printers and the cameras on our phones, they make no mistakes anymore. And I think that making mistakes, deliberately making mistakes in a creative process is something very good to do. And I am very inspired by that also when I see a lot of things around me that have strange, stupid mistakes, and also I create kind of works out of that. So in this book, I really promote the fact that you have to make deliberately a mistake in your thinking process. But when I'm on the street, I sometimes see these things around and I think, nice architecture, a little bit like Escher, but wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Or even in the kitchen, sometimes it's like small little fuck-ups, and then, you know, this one is like an epic failure, of course. I mean, there is a 50-50% chance to do it right, but still it went wrong. But I think a billboard like this creates more confusion and more attention than when it would be the right way around, because then it would be quite a boring billboard. Things like this, you know, like bike path, there's a lot of parking spots where things go wrong, quite strange, you know, like this one is also very embarrassing. And the next one is also nice, you know, I think some of you have children here, but when you have children, sometimes when they're small, you really hate them. But then, I mean, it's taboo a little bit, but the next one is a very interesting design that was made to solve that problem, because you can put your kids in and then just swing it around. And I mean, some people have already used it, you see, like there's... So it's a very innovative design, I think. This is a graveyard in Amsterdam. Can you believe it? I mean, they put a bin next to a grave, you know, like almost visual similar. Yeah, here as well. I mean, there's a clear sign how to do it, but still it went wrong. You know, like unbelievable. Balconies. Then there's toilets. I mean, there's so many toilets where things go wrong, and especially with, I mean, it's already bad enough that you're disabled, but then they even block your toilets, you know. But then in normal toilets, they want as many people as possible in, you know, because there is no privacy at all anymore. I mean, look at this. Who did this? I mean, which designer made this toilet? Unbelievable. There's another disabled toilet. I mean, it's very dangerous. Then there's small things to open and close the door. This one's very small mistake, but soon it will be a gigantic mess on this toilet, really. And then the next one is really my favorite because it's, again, a very ecological design, and this designer has come up with many ideas because you can combine a lot of things. You know, you can take a piss, you can wash your hands, you can wash your dick. Everything is in one circular system. There's even a little towel to clean everything off. You know, it's very fantastic design, I think. Okay, and then the final thing today is then I think that amateurism is also sometimes rated too low. I mean, I think that amateurs are very interesting people because they do it for the love of it. And I think that a lot of professionals can learn from amateurs, can learn from the small mistakes they make and also from their blind passion for what they do. And I have one example because my hobby is to, and my work also a little bit, is to find images from amateurs that I find sometimes online on flea markets, or I receive them from people. And I made these series of books called In Almost Every Picture, and every book has a story on an amateur in there. And I'd like to show one today. And this is all about this woman she's called Valerie, and her husband is called Fred, and Fred takes pictures of Valerie. This is a picture in the 80s, one of the first pictures that he took from her, but he really likes it to take pictures of Valerie in the water. And in the beginning she had a bathing suit on, but after that she already had like some clothing, she had to keep the clothing on. And they went for very interesting locations. And also, I mean, suddenly it became very strange. And of course, this is kind of a fetish that they have. And they call it also their wet clothes adventure. And they love it when they can go every moment of the day in the water. Fred takes a picture. Fred is also often in the water with a waterproof camera. And also at night, they take pictures in the fountain. And very awkward. When it rains, for them, it's fantastic. The more rain, the better. You know, it's like really getting wild. And their garden, they have a lake in front of their house. They live in Clearwater, California, or in Florida, Clearwater. It's fantastic. They have a swimming pool for summers, for the winter. You know, it goes on. And look at this picture. I mean, it's almost a modern version of Ophelia. I mean, Valerie keeps everything on. She has the handbag, the jewelry, the makeup, everything she puts on. And yeah, so I made the book. I asked them for permission. They loved it because they think the more exposure, the better. So then I really sent them the first book, and I asked Fred, can you make some pictures of Valerie with the book in the water? So then Fred had sent me this email. He said, like, and it's really a good amateur, this. Hello, Erik. I've sent a dozen of photos from our afternoon book swim. I hope they meet what is needed for publicity photos. I have Photoshop touched them up for good presentations. I shot well over 100 views, and these are the best. The shoot went well. We were both in the mood, of course. There was a light overcast as hoped for, with no harsh shadows. Valerie wanted to know if the book was really to go into the water. I said yes. The book slipped down into the water a little bit at a time, Valerie taking it and herself in deeper as the photos progressed. Eventually it was fully under. We enjoyed the tantalizing intrigue of it. Very sexual email, but after the photo sequence, we both swam with the book, looking again at each picture. The water was not seeming to have any effect on it. We must have enjoyed 2 hours in the water with it. I rinsed it off in the house, dried off each page, and placed paper towels between each page. The book seems to have withstood the lengthy adventure just fine. love the whole business, Fred and Valerie. So these were the pictures. And yeah, like this one was my favorite. Then I thought, okay, maybe this adventure is over now. But then I was invited in Vevey in Switzerland. There's a festival there. And I showed their pictures and Valerie in Vevey. And so this is in the lake in front of Vevey. Valerie was floating there, 10 by 15 meters. Fred and Valerie were also invited by the festival, but they couldn't come because they had another shoot going on. Shame. But then every time Valerie was to see in the town, there was also a public fountain with all the fountain pictures of Valerie. And they really loved this. I sent them the pictures. They really like it. But then I thought, okay, now it's finished. But recently I found this image on the right online. And it's by a fashion company called Stella McCartney. And she is really copied exactly the cover of the book. So it's the same position. It's in the swimming pool. The handbag is in the same hand. And then Fred sent me also, I sent these to Fred and Valerie because I thought like maybe they are very angry and they want to take action. But then Fred sent me this next email, and this is also really, and to conclude also today, I think that is also very nice because you should really try to make sometimes no sense, not every time, and also really sometimes behave like an amateur and go in wrong directions. But Fred sent me the next email saying, we see the Stella photos. She does look a bit starched, not enjoying the adventure. Okay. And then he said, sort of makes one wonder why she would be doing it to start with. Okay. And in the end, he concluded by saying, I would hope she would get satisfaction in eventually taking the whole outfit under. Thank you very much. Thank you.